Today, I wanted to talk about being kind to yourself and loving yourself. So, would you say that you are kind to yourself? I would say that I am not always kind to myself, right? They say that the things that we say in our head are some of the worst things that we would ever say. We would never say those things to other people, people that we love. We talk to ourselves in a way that we would never talk to anyone else, and we judge ourselves for things that we would never judge anyone else for, and we hold on to grudges with ourselves. So I just ask you to take a look at how you're treating yourself. And if it's not very kind, maybe dig into why that is and what it is that you might be holding on to. But the biggest part of that too is, in order to move forward from that, if you figure out why you're not being kind to yourself, you may be able to make some changes in that, but you won't be able to truly move forward in that until you forgive yourself for treating yourself that way. I know that might sound a little hokey, right? But you have to forgive yourself for not being kind to you, just as you would have to forgive anyone else before you can truly move forward in a relationship with them. In order to move forward in a relationship with yourself, one that's self-accepting and one where you're self-aware and you're loving yourself, you have to forgive yourself for the way that you've maybe treated yourself in the past and how you're treating yourself now. So the next piece of that is loving yourself. It's kind of being kind to yourself and loving yourself. Kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. You can love someone and then still not be kind to them. So if you're not being kind to yourself and we're moving forward from that, loving yourself is really accepting what the goods, the bads, the quirks, the all of the above, and that's really what we're moving towards this week. So for the loving yourself part, I ask you to do a little exercise. Write down 10 ways that you are unkind to yourself on a regular basis. Maybe you'll think of 5 that just happened today. Maybe it's things that happen on a recurring basis, things that you judge yourself for, things that you don't give yourself credit for where you actually deserve it. Things where you don't give yourself the benefit of the doubt, or you don't give yourself the opportunity to prove yourself wrong, or you're just judging yourself regardless of what your intentions might be, or on the flip side, you're judging yourself for your good intentions, but not your actions, or your actions were actually good. So there's lots of different ways that you could be judging yourself, but I just ask you to take a look at that, write down 10 ways that you are being unkind to yourself right now. And then I want you to look at that list and kind of reimagine it a little bit. Reimagine what that would look like what would happen if instead of judging yourself for those things, you learned a way to love yourself for those things, that you loved those flaws, that you just loved them regardless. There's a lot of times you've got family members or friends that they've got quirks and things, but you love them in spite of those things because you know their heart and you know what they're truly all about. Give yourself that same benefit of the doubt and that same credit, and look at those things that you're currently not being kind to yourself for, and figure out a way to imagine what it would be like if you just accepted yourself for those things, just love yourself for those flaws. Not only what would it be like for you and how would it affect you, but how would it affect those around you? What sort of an example would you be setting to them, especially close family members or friends that are able to witness that sort of a change in you? What would that inspire in them to do? So maybe that's a reason to do it too, especially if you've got kiddos at home that are watching you. If you're telling them, trying to build self-confidence in them, and then you are judging yourself, your actions are not matching the words that you're sharing with them. So make sure that when you're reimagining that, you think about how loving yourself in spite of those flaws would affect the children that would be watching what you're doing.